Hello and welcome back. Now before I start with the storyline mission, first I have to say thank you for 1000 subscribers. And I do plan to live stream next Friday. I really hope that my internet connection will allow me to live stream, and I really do hope to see you there. And of course I have to say it's been a very interesting ride so far, and I absolutely do enjoy to record and of course to upload these videos, and of course I do enjoy to play all of these games. Well then, with that being said, I think it will be time to jump on the storyline mission. Alright, well, let's see. So this will be a tier 8 Gallente storyline mission, I think. Oh yeah, it is, okay. And I will do this mission with my Arbitrator Covert tops. Now let's see. Oh, it's 65 million ISK reward. Oh my, well this is going to be hard. And it is a 2-part storyline mission. Okay. So far it's a straightforward mission. You go to site number 1 and you kill all enemies. And then you go to site number 2 and then you kill all enemies as well. Well, at the first location you will be greeted with 4 ships upon warping at the site. 1 battlecruiser, 2 battlecruisers, 1 cruiser and 1 frigate are going to be waiting for you at the first location as the first wave. Now this is a tier 8 mission and I do expect to see the assault battlecruisers here. They can be very dangerous and also they can be very tanky. So it will be interesting to see how I will handle these ships with my fit and of course with my tactic that I use. Now this is my Arbitrator Covert tops that I did fly these couple days, and as you can see I don't have any shield boosters or any armor repairers. This ship is focused solely on drone DPS and it is maxed out for drone DPS and of course for drone range. I do have around 54 or 55 maximum drone control range, which I will also work on to improve. I think I can get around 80 kilometers drone range with the proper rigs that I am also going to obtain very soon. And of course, upon leveling up my next skill, I'll have around 60 to 65 kilometers maximum drone control range, which is very nice and it will allow me to clear these missions from greater distances, which means I'll be safer from enemy fire. Now so far everything is going according to plan. All of these ships are going down quite easily. I use at the moment 4 of my Mark 7 drones. Now I did change my drones into Mark 7 drones and I do have other Mark 7 drones in this ship's drone bay. But at the moment I do use the Valkyrie drones because they are very fast and they do quite decent amount of damage, which is excellent against these enemies, especially against armors and hulls. These drones do a lot of damage on armor and hull, at least that's what I've noticed. Okay, that Celestis is slowly going down, and after that I think I'll be focusing on the Brutix. Now the Talos battlecruisers are going to be a interesting target. Those ships can be very dangerous, especially the elite battlecruisers. Now keep in mind this will be a tier 8 mission and you are going to be facing elite battlecruisers, and that means you should also keep in mind that you might also encounter the very fast elite battlecruisers that might be a serious threat. That means I'll have to be very careful when the next wave of elite ships does warp in, because I do have to have at least 240 kilometers between my ship and between those ships if I do want to survive the elite battlecruisers, because my Arbitrator is not fitted for tanking. It cannot withstand a lot of incoming damage, so I have to rely on range and on the drones to do the job. Okay, that Brutix went down, and now I did go after the Talos, and I have to say they don't do too much damage, but they still can hit around 400, 500 to 600 HP per cycle, which is a lot. And if you don't have any tank, then that is too much damage. But luckily I managed to launch my drones, and then I did take 52 kilometers range, and that ship was destroyed quite easily. Now this is the second wave, and as you can see, no elite ships did warp in, which is good. That means at the moment I don't have to worry about being chased by these super fast elite battlecruisers or cruisers. Who knows? It might actually spawn both fast cruisers and fast elite battlecruisers. That's the worst case scenario. Okay, so I'll be focusing on that frigate first, because it is going to be the closest ship to me, and after that I'll be focusing on the next closest ship that's sorted by range. Okay, I will approach them at 54-53 kilometers, which is just within the maximum drone control range that will allow me to avoid the incoming fire from these ships, and of course it will allow me to avoid any unnecessary damage from these ships. Okay, I did launch my drones on that Celestis, and now I will take range, because those battlecruisers can actually hit my shield this time around, and that means I need to be at around 70 or 80 kilometers away from that cruiser. And of course, after I have shot down that cruiser, I will also go use the same tactic on the next target, which will be that command battlecruiser. Now I have to say, these ships are indeed very tanky, and I do have around 450 to 500 DPS with drones, which is enough, and of course that can be improved further on, and I will work to improve my drone DPS further on. If I did focus on pure drone DPS, I would have around 700 or 800 drone DPS at the moment, but I do have around 500, which is decent, and it is entirely enough to complete these missions. Now, the best ship for these missions is definitely going to be a ship that has a very good tank. For example, a Malar or the Prophecy can do these missions quite well. And these two ships are one of my next ships that I'll be focusing on. At this time I'll be flying my Arbitrator cover tops. I have to say, this ship is very fast, and I think I actually did give the ship couple rigs to increase its speed, and I think I can go around 1.9 or even 2000 meters per second now, which I have to actually test out. But now I do have 3 enemy ships left on the field, 1 frigate and 2 of these battlecruisers, which is nice. And after this I'm going to be greeted with the 3rd wave of enemy ships, and that time I do expect to have elite ships warp in, and when the elite ships warp in, it will be interesting to see if there are any super fast elite battlecruisers. If there are, then that battlecruiser will be the primary target, because those ships can be very tricky and very lethal if they are let to get too close to me. Because keep in mind, I don't have any tank on this ship, and one of these ships has enough DPS to shoot me down if I'm not careful. So it will be interesting to see how I will handle that situation with this ship. And of course, I think I also did attempt to do this mission in a Vexor Navy. It is entirely possible to do this mission in a Vexor Navy. All you need to have is decent range and decent speed, and of course decent DPS or a decent tank to survive 1 or 2 hits from these ships before you take range and before you are safe from enemy fire. Okay, I have approached that battlecruiser. Now I will launch my drones, and now I will take range from that battlecruiser to avoid any incoming damage. Now, as you can see, those ships do a lot of damage to my shield, and of course this ship is a Armada ship, and the shields on Armada ships isn't the best, so I'm not worried too much about the shield. Although I should be worried because at the moment I don't have any armor repairers, so if they do manage to take out my shield, I'll have to warp out. Okay, the last battlecruiser is left on the field, and it will be interesting to see what will happen after I clear this wave. So far, all of these ships were not a serious threat, I have to admit. All I had to do is keep range and of course avoid unnecessary damage, and I just had to let my drones do the job, which they are very efficient at. Now, let's see what will happen with this Talos battlecruiser. I think, if I remember correctly, the assault battlecruisers are tier 8 ships, and I think I'll get a Tornado, because in EVE Online I used to fly a Tornado also, and I am quite trained for that ship as well. Now, these assault battlecruisers are capable at carrying large weapons. That means they do carry weapons that you can see on the battleships, and that makes them very interesting, and I will try to get one of these as soon as I can. But now I'll focus on a assault frigate, and of course I'll focus on a battlecruiser. Those are the two ships that I currently need the most. But as you can see, even this Arbitrator Covert Ops is doing a very nice job for these missions. So far, I have no problems at all with this ship. Okay, well, this is the next wave of enemy ships, and let's see. I do have 5 ships this time. Okay, well, that means I did already shoot down the rest of the ships, and the first target here will be this frigate, and after that I'll be targeting the other battlecruisers. Now, the difference between the tier 6 missions and of course the tier 8 missions is that you are going to be shooting down larger ships in the tier 8 storyline missions, and you are going to get a lot more bounty from the tier 8 storyline missions. For example, the Elite Talos here is going to give you on average 750,000 ISK, which is decent, and one Elite Talos will give you 1 million ISK, which is a very decent bounty here, and you should be getting around maybe 5 to 20 million ISK just from the bounties from this storyline mission, and honestly that is actually a very decent bounty reward. And overall, this storyline mission is one of those storyline missions that can be very tricky and can be very hard. And of course, it is also taking a lot of time to complete. But of course, in the end, it does pay off, because you also get very decent modules and you get very decent bounties. And in the end, you are going to get the supply crate that can potentially give you a very valuable module. And of course, in the end, I'll be opening one of these crates just to see what I'll get. The last Talos battlecruiser is left at the moment, and it is the last ship of this wave. It will be interesting to see what the next wave of enemy ships will bring. Now, I do use the tactic that I like to use, and that is I launch my drones and then I will go at around 200 to 240 kilometers from the enemy ship, just in case if there is any very fast and deadly elite battlecruiser, because that way I can use the tactic quite efficiently. Because if you know, the ships will not chase you after you go at around 240 kilometers from the center of the site. And even if the enemy ship is, let's say, 10 kilometers from your ship, if you cross the 240 kilometer barrier, then even that ship will stop shooting you and it will proceed to return to the center of the map. And that's the tactic that I use to lure all of these battlecruisers towards me, to launch drones and then to safely shoot down these ships from above 100 kilometers, which is a very decent and very efficient and of course a very safe tactic, especially if your ships do not have a good tank to survive being shot at by 14 of these ships, which in my case is true. Okay, now I will approach to make all of these ships come to me, and after that I will be turning my ship around and I'll be burning towards the sun, I think, or towards that asteroid belt. Now that battlecruiser, as you can see, is very fast, and I am at around 240 kilometers from the center of the spawn. That means I just have to be patient for that battlecruiser to arrive at around 50 kilometers from my ship, just within the maximum drone control range of my drones, and then I will launch the drones at that ship, and at the same time I will also take range from this ship and just watch what happens to the battlecruiser. Just watch at the range, and it stopped chasing me after I crossed the 240 kilometer barrier. And of course now that battlecruiser is going to be a easy kill. Now also pay attention to the bounty. I think that's the 1 million ISK reward battlecruiser. And as you can see, I am standing here in place. I am not moving. My ship is at 0 meters per second, and none of these enemy ships is approaching me, which is, I'm sitting right at the 240 kilometer barrier, which is a very important tactical position that I like to use, and it works with literally any ship that uses drones as its primary source of DPS. All you need to have for this tactic is at least 4 drones and at least level 4 skills for all of the drones, and it should work just fine. And the higher your skills, the better the DPS, and of course the ship also plays a key role in that DPS. But as you can see, this Talos battlecruiser is actually toasted because it cannot return fire and the drones are just doing too much damage to this ship. And that's the 1 million bounty reward from that ship, which was quite nice, I have to admit. Well, after you have eliminated all the other elite ships, the rest of these ships should be easy. Of course, you should be careful not to get too close to all of these enemy ships, because at the moment my ship here cannot survive being shot at all of these battlecruisers. So I have to be very careful at taking distance, and I have to be very careful at not getting too close. If I do get close, then I can say goodbye to 300 million worth of Arbitrator Covert ops. And in that case, I will not be able to buy a new one because I don't have enough ISK for this ship. Okay, that Brutix is the next primary target. Now you have to be careful around that Brutix. That Brutix does appear to be slow, but it is indeed also very quick. And you should approach the ship to your maximum drone control range, launch drones, and then quickly turn around and burn away from that battlecruiser, because they can actually catch you. In my case, I am indeed quite fast, and I am able to outrun all of these ships besides that battlecruiser, and I can use the approach tactic this way without worrying too much about being chased by all of these battlecruisers and of course cruisers. Now, as for the future tier 10 missions that I'll do, for that I still have to increase my skills a little bit and I do have to upgrade my rigs, because for these missions I do want to have at least 80 km range, because I do remember that I was hit by one of the torpedoes from the battleships in a tier 10 story mission only once, and they did around maybe 4,000 or 8,000 damage to my ship. That's mostly enough to reach my hull on most of the ships, and that was quite a surprising situation for me. I didn't expect them to do that much damage, but they do, and I'll have to upgrade my ships a little bit more in order to do these missions safely without risking the ship. I mean, I am kind of risking the ship at the moment because my skills are just enough to be able to complete this mission. And at the moment I also have to say that I did fly these ships for quite some time now, and I'm quite skilled at handling these vehicles without risking a lot. Now, of course, one thing that is a big problem for me is my internet connection. That's something that I cannot affect in any way, shape or form, and the high ping is making the ship not respond to commands at the right moment. So that's the problem that you can see from time to time. That's one of the main reasons why I like to use ships that have long range, because even with bad internet connection I do have time to control the ship, and I do have time to make the proper changes to the ship's course or to the primary target. And that is kind of preventing me to go full tank, and you will see more of that when I get the Prophecy, because the Prophecy will be one of the tankiest ships that I did fly so far. I do have some very nice modules for it, and I do have some very nice fits for it, which do allow me to have 95% resistances, and that will be a very, very tanky ship. Okay, well, I think this is going to be the last wave of enemy ships for the first area. Have to say, you're going to fight a couple of these elite Talos battlecruisers, and the one and only main problem and one and only main threat here is going to be a Talos battlecruiser, because they are doing the most damage to your ship. I think in the second phase of this mission you are going to see one Talos battlecruiser hitting me for, I think it was 1,500 HP, which is almost half of my armor, and that's only one cycle. And that is a very serious damage hit from that ship, and that's one of the reasons why I will have to change my fit for the second part of the mission. But at the moment, as you can see, I don't have any problems with surviving the incoming fire. Okay, that ship is slowly going down. I am at 145 kilometers away. I'm at 145 kilometers from that ship. And that battlecruiser is slowly going down. Now, as for their range, they have range up to 100 kilometers. That means they can theoretically hit your ship even after you reach the 100 kilometer mark away from these ships. And while they're not going to do too much damage at 100 kilometers, they are still able to hit your ship. And if you don't have a tank, like I have no tank at the moment, then any damage is too much damage. So you have to be careful, and you have to keep on increasing distance between your ship and between the enemy ship. That is the most safest approach in this type of situation. After taking out that Talos battlecruiser, all of the other ships are easy targets. So the main threat in this mission is the elite Talos battlecruiser, because they do a lot of damage and they just can have also a lot range. And in that case, they are the primary target. Well, this is the first part of the mission. The first site has been cleared, and that means it is time to jump on the second part and time to jump on the second site of the mission. Now here you're going to be greeted with at least 9 enemy ships upon warping in, and in this case you will have to also target the closest ship that's away from you. In my case that will be, let's see, I think it will be that Myrmidon, but it could very well be those 2 frigates because they are at under 90 kilometers away from my ship. Let's see, now here, this is the second part of the mission, and I do expect to see at least 3 waves of enemy ships here. Now, so far, all of the Gallente missions that do have the very fast battlecruisers or cruisers, they do spawn these cruisers only at the first part of the mission. So in theory, that means I am not going to face these super fast elite battlecruisers in the second part of the mission. So because I am doing this for the first time, I will be playing this very safely, and that means I'll be taking the 240 km range upon destroying the last ship, just in case there is another very fast elite battlecruiser or cruiser to give me enough time to find the target, and of course to lock the target, and of course to prepare myself for either warping out or to prepare myself to launch drones at the target. But so far these ships are generally not that dangerous. You can clear them very efficiently. Now of course keep in mind that the classic non-elite Talos battlecruisers are still going to do a lot of damage, and you should keep range away from these ships, or if they are the closest ship to you, make them the primary target. That is what I am doing at the moment here. Now let's see, my next target is that Vexor sniper, and the next target after that will be the Talos, I do hope. In this mission I do like to target the more dangerous ships first, because they are the largest threat to me. Now that Talos, as you can see, is my primary target. Now you can see that my shield has been destroyed. Well, not completely destroyed, but I do have a little bit of shield left, and that is because I did approach the target and I was shot at by a couple of these elite ships. And this means it is time for me to slowly change my fit, because I think they are actually going to damage my armor here in a moment, and because I don't have any armor repairer or shield booster, that makes my ship very vulnerable. And in this case, after I shoot down this battlecruiser, I'll be going and I'll be changing my fit into a armor tank. Now I think this is the first time that I did change my fit on this ship. And of course, if I did have at least 80 km range with my drones, I wouldn't be in the need of changing the fit, because I can just safely snipe them from 80 kilometers. But until that happens, I do have to change my fit for the second phase of these missions in order to survive all the incoming damage from all of these enemy ships. Okay, that battlecruiser is going down, and I think I'll be warping out here to change my fit, but I also might very well stay and fight, because I did eliminate that battlecruiser that did have range. And now, let's see, I think the next primary will be that Celestis. Of course, I will lock on the secondary target. In the end, I didn't warp out. There was no need for me to warp out. I did have enough time and enough range, and of course enough speed to tank all of these ships one by one. And the last Talos for this wave has been destroyed. Okay, the next wave of enemy ships has arrived. Let's see, 16 enemy ships, and I'll be chilling here for a moment, waiting to see if there is any. There is one elite battlecruiser. There is a second one, I think, and let's see, there is a elite cruiser. Okay, let's see if there is more. Okay, well, I don't seem to see more of these ships. Now here I did risk a little bit, and as you can see they did damage my armor. Those elite ships do a lot of damage. Now thankfully this ship is very fast, and I was able to burn out of the I was able to burn out of the weapons range very fast. Now at this moment I will change my fit because it is obvious that I cannot withstand, and it is obvious that I cannot continue using my tactic this way. That means I'll have to change some things, and I'll have to continue using my tactic with the change fit, which I do hope it will work. In theory, I have already planned everything out, and in a moment I'll be explaining on what I actually did here. So here you can see that I have a armor repair and that I have a armor plate, and the idea behind this fit is to use the armor plate and the armor repair combined with the capacitor battery to withstand the incoming fire from these ships until I reach my maximum drone control range. Then I launch the drones at these cruisers, and then while I have the armor plate, armor repair and of course the capacitor battery active, I can survive the damage while I take range from these ships, which in theory should work really well, and in a practical example here it also works quite well. And this fit will allow me to continue using my tactic with the, should I say, this fit is allowing me to continue using my approach tactic. And so far the only problem here is the capacitor, because I do have the MVD on most of the time. Now at the moment I do have to take out the elite battlecruisers first, because those elite battlecruisers are the largest threat to me, and of course they are doing the most damage to me. So all the damage that you could see me take there is coming from that one elite battlecruiser, and those battlecruisers should be your primary target. Now this fit here is still a beta fit, should I say, because it is not the final product that I will have for this ship. I do want to make the ship a little bit more tanky, or should I say I do have to get another Arbitrator cover tops that will be specialized for this type of fit. But as for a beta test fit, it works quite well. I have to admit it is kind of risky to do that maneuver that I am doing here, but in the end it gets the job done, and with practice it can be very efficient. Now here you're going to see me use this tactic throughout the second part of this video now, because I had to play this very safely. Now this was the second wave, that means the third wave is around the corner, and there is the third wave of enemy ships. And of course again there is a elite battlecruiser there, that means that ship will be the primary target if possible, and afterwards the other elite ships are going to be secondary targets. Now I'll explain how I use this fit again, since I think that I didn't explain this quite well the first time. So I do have the armor plate and armor repair. They are only used when I approach the target, because when I approach the targets I'll be within the weapon range of their guns and I'll be taking damage. So when you activate the armor plate, it will give you a 20% armor bonus on top of the already 20% bonus that will give you. And I use that extra armor to eat the incoming damage from these ships. And of course, if they manage to penetrate that armor, I do have a armor repairer to repair my ship, to repair my armor. And I do have the capacitor battery to increase my capacitor, because I do have a MVD. And I only use this when I approach the targets, and of course when I take range, because when I approach them and when I take range from these ships, that's when I take the most damage. A 90-degree approach angle is going to give you a lot more incoming damage than, for example, a 60 or 70-degree approach angle, because you are going to be at 90 degrees from the enemy weapons. Now I do try to avoid that, but at the moment, because of the weapons and because of my skills and because of the modules, I do have to go on a 90-degree approach angle because that's the shortest way from my ship to the enemy ship. And as you can see, when I approach, I do launch my drones, and then again I turn around my ship while my armor modules are active. I do take range, and that way my armor and ship is a lot safer than if I were to use a resistance module and of course a armor repairer. Even with decent resistances, those elite cruisers do a lot damage, and I just did not want to risk flying the ship without at least 5000 or 6000 HP of armor. And the armor plate is doing a very decent job at helping me out with this. And as you can see so far, the ship can hold out. I don't have to warp out anymore, and I can just continue using this fit and this tactic throughout the end of this mission. And I have to say, this mission was one of the more exciting missions that I've done so far. Now, there are no more elite ships. That means I can relax a little bit and I can focus on the remaining targets. Now, in this case, in theory, I can go to the station and change my fit into the first fit that I have for the ship, but I just don't want to risk getting too close to these ships, so I'll be continuing to use this fit throughout this mission. And of course, it is a lot safer to use this fit because I do have a form of tank. Now, of course, having the armor plate will reduce the ship's velocity and of course the ship's acceleration. It will give you a decent armor boost, and overall it will give the ship a lot more survivability. And in this mission, in this current case, and of course with the current tactic that I use, it is the perfect fit that I can have for this ship in this situation. Of course, like I said, I'll be working on this fit a lot more. I do want to try out to use a lot more modules. Now, one thing that is kind of a problem, this is a Covert top ship and the modules eat all 4 slots in the wall slots. That means I cannot fit a Covert tops module, I cannot cloak. But in the end, that's not a problem if you use this fit as a only fit for these storylines. And of course, you can carry the modules with you, and then when you reach the destination of your mission, you can dock in that station and you can refit in the mission location, which is what I did here in this moment. And this is the last battlecruiser that's left on the enemy side over here. And I have to say, this was a very fun storyline mission. And so far, I have quite a bit of adrenaline from all of these approaches. And let me get my well-deserved 65 million ISK. Nice, that's very nice. Well then, I think it's also time to show you what I did get from the supply crate. I think it will be very interesting to see what the crate is actually worth. Now this is the supply chest, and if you don't want to open it, you can sell it. You can sell it for around 20 million ISK, or in this case around 17 million ISK. And let me see what's inside. So keep in mind, you can sell them or you can open them. And okay, I think the last module is actually very nice. Let me see. Okay, average 34 million ISK average price. Oh my god, 50 million ISK for that module. Well, in this case, it was absolutely worth opening the supply crate because I did actually get a very valuable item that I will use for the future ships. Well, with that being said, I do hope that you enjoyed. It is a pleasure to play this game for you, and with that being said, stay safe, fly safe, and I'll see you next time.